Welcome to episode 273 of the Working Fans Podcast, where today, myself and the man called Dave will be reviewing Crown Jewel.
Yes.
And this is a very interesting one because we are going to get to review this just after watching this in real time. We are recording ahead because I'm on vacation. And before we get into it, we want to talk about our great sponsor, Game Up Hard Hydration. It's like your favorite sports drink and your favorite seltzer got together, but it's so much better. Dave, give him the rundown.
We're talking 4 great flavors: lemon lime, orange, fruit punch.
Love it.
Great.
The best.
Only 110 calories, low carb. Guys, get yourself some Game Up.
Ooh, and get yourself a little bit of shock therapy because we were in the same motherfucking place at the same motherfucking time because we had some technical difficulties. We just watched Crown Jewel.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, what in wrestling kind of has caught your eye this week? There was a lot of great stuff going on, a lot of notable things.
Let's talk about some not so great stuff as we're recording this. The night before, we had 3 people that are no longer going to be in WWE. Biggest name, Baron Corbin, obviously. Indy Hartwell.
That was a notable one because she was on SmackDown last night,
yes.
pre-taped.
Yes, and then Tegan Knox, who honestly we haven't seen a lot of in the last year or so. You know, some due to injuries and stuff. But yeah.
I heard Baron Corbin had decided not to re-sign.
I mean, he's been with the company for many, many years. He worked with them during the Vince eras. It's probably a lot of a laid-back, more atmosphere. But at this point, he probably sees the writing on the wall. He's accomplished what he's going to accomplish. And, you know, what is going to be left for him other than to keep putting people over at this point?
I could definitely see that.
Yeah. Hey, whether you like Baron or not, he had a good run. You know, he had his Kurt Angle's last match ever. He's, you know, I think he won Money in the Bank. He didn't successfully cash it in, you know, but he's had some wins. He was like one of the last guys to pin Roman Reigns before Roman went on that epic run.
And he got to display a lot of characters. You saw Happy Corbin. You got to see the depressed him. We got to see the biker when he first came in and was making waves in NXT.
He was running the show at one point. He was like, I wasn't a commissioner. They had another name for him, but he was one of the guys running Raw. They blamed him on the bad ratings for Raw one time.
He was Austin Aries' first match in NXT. I remember being very excited about that when Austin came in. So it's always sad to see people leave the company, but luckily there's a lot of places for people to work if they want to work, or they could go on to other things in their career.
So before we move on, we'll move on. Indy Hartwell, Tegan Knox, I think it's very possible we're going to see them in TNA or AEW would be my biggest guesses. I think Baron Corbin will take some time off.
That makes sense. You got also this week, we had Charlie Dempsey versus Lexis King with William Regal in Lexis King's corner. I thought it was a good match. It looks like story-wise that could progress. So I'm very interested to see where that goes.
Lexis King did not take the cheap shot. William Regal offered him the brass knucks to, you know, punch his son in the face, which they still haven't acknowledged as his son, and Lexis King would not take it. So I am interested to see how this progresses.
And I believe he was saying, I am not my father, if I remember that moment correctly. So it's interesting, the little twists and turns they have with that. And it's at the 2300 Arena this coming week. So I'm very interested to watch that.
Yes, probably about by the time you watch this, though, you'd have already seen it. Jordan Grace also debuted the week of this show that we were recording, too. She left. I don't know if she left, but she lost the TNA Knockouts Championship, and she showed up on NXT. NXT's women's roster is jacked, and as like I said, as recorded, you probably see there was a 10-woman tag match scheduled with Jordan Grace, Cesaria, Julia, Stephanie Vaquer,
all the big incoming names, a lot of the big names of NXT. And is anything else really caught your eyes?
And the major thing before we get into this is obviously in terms of AEW, Bobby Lashley showed up. Bobby Lashley looked like $1 million. You know, I said this before. One thing AEW has struggled with was booking a bigger wrestler, a giant, right? There's a couple guys maybe they would have done well with Wardlow, Hobbs, but injuries seem to get in the way. But for whatever reason, the presentation of them, too, it's been okay at times, hit or miss, and some just haven't been what they should be. Lance Hoyt.
Yeah, Lance Archer.
Lance Archer, thank you. Brian Cage. You know, had that been booked out. Bobby Lashley immediately had an aura about him when he came out here. He's dressed like $1 million in that suit. They laid out Swerve and Prince Nana. I thought great debut for Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, that was big. We had heard that he was going to be coming in, but to actually see it was finally great. And, you know, I think it's helping push AEW in the right direction, really.
Absolutely.
You know, there was a lot of excitement about that. We're going to keep it short and sweet today, guys, because we have a lot to talk about with Crown Jewel. This was last weekend's event. As you guys are watching this, I love that we're able to talk about it right now because we just got done watching it. We were very surprised to see the event kick off with Roman and the Usos versus Jacob Solo and Tama Tonga.
Okay, so I didn't even know this was going to be a match until the night before.
Me neither. When I saw it, I was like, holy shit. Like, I am ready for this.
Yeah.
You know, it already looked like a good card, but this made the card feel that much more stacked. And then it kicks off the show. I couldn't have thought of a better way to kick it off.
Okay, so initially, one big thing I like too from this is Jey Uso, after delivering that speech on SmackDown saying, you know, we got to be equals if we're going to do this. What happens? Jey comes out second. Roman and Jimmy come out together to the Tribal Chiefs entrance, and Roman has the banner, but then Jey has even a bigger entrance going through the crowd. This made Jey look like a big star on the level of Roman and everybody else. I love this.
Yeah, 100%. This was the little bit of the match I got to see because my technical difficulties were happening right around this time. But getting to see the big entrances, getting to see Jacob Fatu, Solo, and Tonga's come out was great. And that's about all I have to say from the match. I had to get gas and drive over during it.
And so, I mean, the way the match was booked, you know, Roman looked like the star still that he is. And Jacob Fatu just has an aura about him. He always comes off as a star. But so is Sikoa. He got the pin on Roman Reigns. And for a guy that maybe hasn't been as built strong as he should have been going into this, they put him over here. He beat him, pinned him after the Simone Spike. Of course, the big story after this is going to be as the new bloodline is beating up the OG bloodline, here comes Sami Zayn for the save. Sami Zayn is now helping the Usos and Roman. And then Sami's going to kick Solo in the face. Solo ducks. Sami kicks Roman. Jimmy's upset at Sami. Jay's saying, hey, take it easy. Sami's our boy. It was a mistake. And so now we have this dissension with these four guys. We got to be building for War Games here. This has to be 4-on-4 War Games Survivor Series.
Yes, War Games is 2 weeks away from currently. In real time, it's 3 weeks away. So it's coming up quick. We are currently wondering, as you guys are already going to know, what Raw is going to, what's going to happen on Raw to continue this story? What's going to happen on SmackDown to continue this story? But the main thing is, like, all eyes are on this story, and I think it was a good idea to kick off the show with this match.
Yeah, it was a great way to kick off the show.
And then after this, we got another tag team match. Damage Control versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven versus Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson versus Bianca and Jade. Great match. We were trying to decide who was taller between Jade and Lash Legend because they are far and away the two tallest in this match, but it's almost a toss-up which one is taller.
Yeah, for me, it was just a fun little matchup. I enjoyed it. I haven't got a chance to look at online and see what the reception was, but just watching it from a watch along, talking, you know, with my friends and stuff like that, like, it was a match I enjoyed. I thought they made everybody get some stuff in. Everybody looked like they were on the same, like, equal almost, you know, like it looked like anybody could win at a given time. But in the end, Jade and Bianca get the win. And I just wonder who will eventually take these tag titles off of them.
Bianca and Jade with a doomsday device too. Yes. And that is one thing we were talking about. Who is going to take the titles off of them? There's a few ladies tag teams. This match was stacked with them. There are still more. But who looks powerful enough to really dethrone Bianca and Jade? They've been built up to be, you know, these forces to be reckoned with, and I love seeing it. We were noting, too, how much women talent you had in one ring at one time. You had the 8 competitors. You had a ref. So this was the most women's representation I think we've seen at a Crown Jewel. So that was notable.
And there'll be a match later we'll talk about, too.
100%. Going from this tag match, we got to Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed. This thing, it was a great match. You know, a battle. You had Seth Rollins looking like the underdog trying to come up against big Bronson Reed. We got blood during this match. It looked like from a hard way. What did you think about this match? Where do you think this match ranked among the matches you saw today? Was it on the higher end? Was it in the middle? Or was it kind of like closer to the lower?
I'd say middle because the Bloodline, the 2 Crown Jewel championship matches, you know, those are probably going to be like my top 3 in terms of importance match. You know,
yeah, they felt like big fight feels.
Yeah. So, but I mean, this was a fun match. I thought they did a great job of keeping Bronson Reed strong. You know, I like the fight at the beginning here. I like the battle all over. I like the fact that it took 3 curb stomps, you know, including one on the steps for Bronson to finally get pinned. And a final one, I think, was even on the top rope too, right?
Yep.
And so there was one earlier in the night where in the beginning of the match where he took one as well. In the end, Bronson looked strong. Bronson kept rising up, almost like an Undertaker type thing. And he had blood in his eye from a cut he got at some point towards the end of the match. Probably might have been on those steps with the curb stomp. So I thought great booking to keep Bronson strong. But hey, Seth gets to win. My only question is, and maybe we'll know by the time this airs, are they going to continue this feud or are we going to see them move on?
Yeah, you got to wonder because, the Bronson Reed in this modern run has been great. He puts out Seth Rollins. And then we had the big fight with Braun Strowman. Do they return to Strowman? Do they return to Rollins? Or who could be the next person to take on Reed? Like when you talk MMA fights, you always talk about liking to see that next fight. Mm-hmm. Who could you envision as being in the ring with Bronson Reed?
So for both these, for me, I feel like with Seth, it's a little easier. Like
CM it's got to be CM Punk.
Down the road. Like that's got to happen. For Bronson Reed, it's almost like if he was a babyface or Braun Breaker was a babyface, that would be an interesting match to do next, maybe. That Intercontinental Championship. Not to say he's going to win it or not win it, but like seeing him against the other Braun, Bronson and Braun.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Definitely. This was followed by Liv versus Nia for that WWE Women's Crown Jewel Championship. There was a lot of talk surrounding this match. Would Liv be coming out with Dominic? Would Nia be coming out with Tiffany? Would Tiffany cash in on Nia? And we did get some Tiffany involvement.
Yeah, she was all over here. She was, we got to SmackDown the night before where she basically cut a promo on both ladies, which was, surprising because she's been kind of Nia's puppet, don't want to cross Nia, but she said she was pissed off and ready to cross on anybody. But then afterwards, she said she was just trying to get in Liv's head. But
we did see the attempted cash in. She got back down from Nia.
But we never knew who she would have cashed on for sure. It was always played up very carefully. Nia's still questioning it, and then of course Liv. And yeah, so a lot of interference going back and forth here. But at the end, I have to say I was surprised that Liv Morgan got the win. Obviously, there was a ton of interference with Dirty Dom, Raquel Rodriguez. But man, I just figured they've been building Nia as this dominant figure that she would win, but Liv gets the win. And afterwards, you can see a genuine, real emotion on Liv, kind of away from the storyline a little bit. And Triple H is going to come in the ring and present her with that Crown Jewel Women's Championship. And you can see at times, she's trying to play her character. But other times you can see it's really affected her. And I think I commented on during the show, I just think she probably didn't feel she would be at this point in her career. And here she is with, the Women's Championship on Monday Night Raw. And now she's beating the other champion on SmackDown. And she's in the ring with Triple H.
And wrestling in a country where women aren't prominently featured. They had to fight to get on this card. And now she's getting in one of those big positions.
She just got a 5-year contract too. So this has got to be a really big time for her.
Yeah. And, this is really kind of what I was talking about with these matches going in, that to have it for that Crown Jewel champion, for a champion to take a loss but not lose their championship, I don't think it makes Nia look weak at all. We went from this match to Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. The story on this has been built up big, but this ended up being a non-match.
Right. It's the brawl.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it because it was a brawl around the arena. It gave that feel of chaos. And then as the show was going on too, we kind of wondered how long would the show be? And this, great storyline way of giving the fans some action, but not necessarily a match. And you got to wonder, how is this going to play out? You guys will already know, but we're sitting here wondering what's going to happen on SmackDown this week. And that's really the excitement you want coming out of these pay-per-views.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a great fight all over the arena. Kevin Owens wearing a Cowboy Bob Orton shirt, much like he wore a Dusty Rhodes shirt with Cody. And Owens ends up being kind of this wild card looking guy right now. Like you don't know what he's going to do. And in the end too, Owens was the one who put Orton through the table. They both had to, sell the effects of it. But I would say Owens came out here maybe looking slightly stronger of the two.
Yes. This was followed up by the triple threat match. LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade. This for me was right up there with the championship matches. I would almost call this the match of the night because they worked so good together in this triple threat. Obviously, I thought Carmelo was going to win. I had the hopes, but LA Knight kept that title in the victory. The crowd seemed to really enjoy this match as well.
Yeah, I would say from terms of a back and forth athleticism standpoint, this was probably match of the night. I think the main event was a better pace storytelling match with given more time, But this match was really good. A lot of great back and forth action and probably just a little more faster pace. So if that's what you like, this would have probably been your match of the night. But this was definitely, in terms of in-ring quality, this and the main event were my top 2 matches of the night. And at the end of the day, LA Knight, still champ, keeps rolling on. Who's going to stop this guy and take away his championship?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Like, do you think from the fact that Carmelo Hayes and Andrade have been in that U.S. championship sphere that one of them will take it? Or do you think the person that's eventually going to take it is going to be somebody down the line that we wouldn't have expected?
I feel like Santos Escobar might be next for a title shot, just for things that's kind of hinted there.
Okay.
But I also feel like Carmelo Hayes has such a look that at some point I just like to see him get that title.
And the way he's been featured on SmackDown since being drafted there, he's had that major spot. I mean, this has really been the centerpiece of his time there.
Yeah, for sure. I hope he gets a run with it at some point, but I mean, this is that mid card right now, right? Where they're all kind of jammed up, but I don't know. And here's the problem too. LA Knight, he's got such a great reaction. People would have liked to see maybe the main title put on him at some point, but he ain't taking it from Cody. He ain't taking, Roman. You got Rock potentially in the wings here too. So, but it'll be interesting to see where this goes. Right now, really hard to say.
Yeah, it's one of those issues you run into with when you have such a stacked roster. You have so many people that can possibly compete, and we have made it to the main event. It was Gunther versus Cody Rhodes for that men's Crown Jewel Championship. This had the feel of a big fight, the big entrances, them looking serious. It was, it's 2 guys that have been huge in WWE lately. And tell them what you thought about that video package before the match.
Sure. I mean, it was what you wanted to see with a champion versus championship match. We're looking at greats like Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, Bob Backlund, Hogan, Cena,
Bruno Sammartino,
Nick Bockwinkel, right? So all the guys from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it's just 2000s. It's all these great champions, and it was just put together so well. It just got you pumped up for this. And Gunther and Cody, I mean, 2 of the best guys you can put in this situation.
100%. They delivered. There was back and forth. Mm-hmm. I had a feeling during the match that whoever was going to win was just going to have to kind of eke it out, because it seemed like whenever somebody got the advantage, the opponent got the advantage right after that, kept going that way. But in the end, Cody rolls through. It was a sleeper hold, right?
Right. Cody came off the top. Looked like he was looking for that cutter.
Got caught.
Gunther. Yeah, Gunther.
I didn't know there was a Gulf Coast regulator in this match. Made it to the big time.
Gunther catches him with a sleeper, but at the end, Cody counters the sleeper, a la Bret Hart and Roddy Piper, WrestleMania 8. Or Bret Hart and Steve Austin from Survivor Series 96. And it's a thing of beauty. But Cody gets the win. He celebrates with Triple H. They bring out Liv, and you have both men and women.
Couple people in the ring,
Some diplomats there, possibly from Saudi Arabia. I wasn't aware of who they were. But
we'd have to turn up the sound to find out. But it was great. Like, it felt big, too, with the winning of these championships, where you got to see Triple H come out, present the winner with the belt, and then having that moment at the very end of the show where both champions celebrate in front of the crowd. It's the picture shot that Saudi Arabia wanted. And this match, this whole event really lived up to things. Sometimes those 1:00 in the afternoon pay-per-views or premium live events can be tricky, because you're either off and you're able to watch them at a decent time, or we've had it happen in the past to us where we're working, we're doing something, and we have to come back to it later. But we were able to watch it. It was a great event, and we are waiting now 2 weeks away from Survivor Series. So let us know in the comments what you thought about this event. What matches you're most looking forward to at Survivor Series? And if you're talking drinks, we know what you're most looking forward to cracking a can of.
If you haven't tried Game Up, then you are missing out. Imagine your favorite seltzer and your favorite sports drink had a baby, but it's way better than that. Each can is 110 calories, low carb, 4.9 ABV. It's a nice light drink that is not light on flavor. Game Up comes in fruit punch, orange, lemon, lime, and grape. Pick it up at drinkgameup.com or at your nearest liquor store.